Hello, this is Chad Miller, and this presentation is for iTech 7500, which is the capstone course at Kennesaw State University's Educational Specialist in Instructional Technology program. Let me give you a little bit of background about myself. I currently teach at Chapel Hill High School in Douglasville, Georgia. I work in the Social Studies department, and I have an interest in effectively incorporating technology into the classroom to positively impact student learning. My future goals after I finish the program are to aid and assist my colleagues with technology issues and integration ideas in the classroom. I also hope to obtain an instructional technology specialist position if one becomes available within my school district, and I'm considering pursuing my doctorate in instructional technology at Kennesaw State University. The purpose of this presentation is to offer an overview of my capstone research project, which is titled The Impact of BYOD Policy on High School Teachers. To start things out, let me clarify a couple of terms. BYOD is bring your own device. Sometimes it might be referred to as BYOT, which is bring your own technology, but they mean roughly the same thing. Now, when we look at BYOD policy, some school systems have a policy in place, others really do not have a policy. For those that have BYOD policies, they tend to vary from district to district. Some schools embrace technology and BYOD and they use it in all facets of education. Others restrict it or limit its access, and some completely deny its use. It really depends on the school system. So the overall purpose of the study is to collect qualitative data to examine the impact of BYOD policy on high school teachers. This study wanted to examine the relationship between BYOD policy and teacher perceptions of technology use in a classroom setting. And there were several important areas that I focused on in the study. One thing was trying to determine, is it important to have a BYOD policy in place? Is it really effective? Is it helpful? Does the BYOD policy itself impact teacher perceptions of technology use and classroom efficiency? And does BYOD influence teaching methods and management within the classroom? So these were kind of the overall focus areas on the study. Now the study is significant for several reasons. Today, students possess and access technology in all facets of their life. And this is going to continue to increase, so BYOD is something that we should be looking at. Also, the current trend is to increase technology usage and integration in our schools. So BYOD is a viable option for many reasons. It's able to help us meet the increasing demands for technology within the school. We can utilize it at minimal school cost, and we're able to effectively utilize technology that's already being brought to the schools, that our students already have in their possession. We can also examine if BYOD policy has an impact on teachers and how they utilize technology in the classroom. So these are some of the important reasons for the study. Now, when I started looking at the literature related to BYOD, there's a fair amount of literature out there, but there wasn't any that specifically focused on teacher perceptions or even student perceptions. But when I started reviewing the literature, there were several different themes that kind of emerged from the current research that was out there. Much has been written regarding the possible opportunities associated with the use of BYOD. Some of the opportunities they focused on was the need for having a policy in place and how you could use that to give guidelines and procedures within your school and clear expectations. The fact of it being so cost effective to be able to increase technology at minimal cost to the school, and because the business world are currently using this, so it kind of mimics the business world. There were a lot of articles related to challenges and concerns with the use of BYOD. The largest ones were the possible misuse of the technologies, students looking at inappropriate materials, making cheating easier for some students, and then also it could be a distraction for students. And then the other major challenge or concern that kept emerging was the lack of infrastructure to support BYOD. Many of the schools just do not have the infrastructure in place for it. They don't have the Wi-Fi availability, they have bandwidth issues, connectivity issues, so having the infrastructure in place is something that's important. And then the final thing that I saw that kept emerging was implementation strategies, points to consider that should be addressed when you try to implement BYOD. Much of the literature related to this. It had to do with having the infrastructure and support in place, teachers being aware of technology and having technical capabilities themselves, the ability to use this technology, having clear policies and procedures in place, needing to get parental involvement to have the parents involved in the process, and then your privacy and security concerns that are always going to be present when you start utilizing technology. Now, the lack of literature relating to the impact of BYOD policy on teacher perceptions on the use of technology illustrates the further need of this study. The methodology involved in this study, I utilized a constructivist design within grounded theory. My goal was to determine the impact that BYOD policy has on the views, feelings, and perceptions of teachers relating to the use of technology in the classroom. And within the study, I utilized an electronic questionnaire and then email interviews, which were administered in March. I developed the questionnaire and the interview questions myself. All the participants that were involved volunteered. The results were coded to protect the anonymity of the participants. I only had 2 of the 5 schools within the school system that provided participants for the study, and there were 9 participants in total. Now, the participants were from varying fields such as math, social studies, English, business, special education, and then an administrator in media science. The participants varied in years of experience. I thought I had a pretty wide selection from several in their first couple of years of teaching all the way to over 26 years of experience. So I thought it covered the spectrum pretty well. The research questions that I developed and focused on in the study were as follows. The first one was, how does BYOD policy impact teacher perception of technology use in the classroom? Our second guiding research question was, how does the use of BYOD impact teacher perceptions of classroom efficiency? And then the final one was, what effect does BYOD have on teaching methods and management in the classroom? So these were the guiding questions that I used to lead us in our research. Now, to analyze our findings, this study, the intention was to determine the impact of BYOD policy on the views, feelings, and perceptions of the teachers relating to the use of technology in the classroom. The 9 participants of this study completed email interviews to express their views, feelings, and thoughts about the use of technology in their classroom. And each participant's response was compared and connected to the others, and categories and themes emerged from these responses. I was able to develop 4 primary themes that permeated throughout the research. The themes that developed were teacher discretion, active supervision, efficiency of time, and additional resources. And I will discuss each one of these themes as they relate to the research questions. Our first research question: how does BYOD policy impact teacher perception of technology use in the classroom? Only 55% of the teachers interviewed were really aware of BYOD policy and knew that BYOD was really left up to the principals at their school. Now, what I found that was very interesting to me was that the principal's view of technology use had more of an impact on the teachers than the actual policy itself did. Teachers were really more concerned or affected by their principal's stance on technology use in the classroom. The key thing that teachers kept saying that they wanted from the ones interviewed was discretion over technology use in their classroom. Most of them were fine with the use of BYOD and bringing technology into the classroom as long as they had some control over it within their classroom. And then the need for active supervision of the technology was also a concern. How are they going to actively monitor this type of technology within the classroom with so many different students? One of the smaller questions that I used to kind of follow up within this was, does BYOD affect the way that you teach your class? And 44% of the teachers that were interviewed said that it did have an effect on the way they teach. Our second research question: how does the use of BYOD impact teacher perceptions of classroom efficiency? Some felt that it actually had a negative impact on the efficiency of their class, that if they started out with some type of technology or BYOD, they had to take that away, or when they were transitioning to some other activities, it was a little more difficult. So they said it actually hurt their efficiency. A couple said that they felt that it could be a distraction for the students, so it could actually hurt their efficiency. But the vast majority said that the increases in efficiency were due to the instant access to their mobile device and BYOD. It actually made their classroom run more smoothly. that it was able to save them class time, and then it also offered many additional tools that would engage students within the classroom. One teacher mentioned that it was great to allow them to differentiate with technology from their students and really work with them on that level. And a couple noted that with the use of BYOD, there was much less need to try to reserve a computer lab, which saved time and made things run much more smoothly in their classroom. Question that was asked along with some of this was, do you feel that technology use in the classroom yields greater results than traditional methods? I was curious to see what they thought about how this would affect them in general, and most of them weren't really sure. 33% said yes, 22% said no, but the vast majority said that they just weren't sure if the use of technology was going to yield greater results than traditional methods. Research question 3. What effect does BYOD have on teaching methods and management in the classroom? When I looked at teaching methods, I got kind of mixed responses from the participants about its effect on their teaching methods. Some said it had an effect, some said that it didn't, and there was no clear prevailing thought from this. But when we started looking at classroom management, several things kind of came into view. Most of the teachers recognized that poor supervision of BYOD could lead to classroom management issues, that this could cause problems if it's not actively supervised. Several noted that BYOD could be a diversion for less motivated students, that they could actually use this to get off task or do things other than focus on the lesson at hand. But when we talked about BYOD causing classroom management issues, the majority of the participants said that they felt that if there was a classroom management issue in place, that this was something that probably already existed and that it was not an effect of BYOD. It was something that was already underlying within the teaching. When they were asked, do you feel is there a correlation between BYOD and classroom management issues, 44% said no and 33% said yes. The overview of the findings, the things that really emerged was that a comprehensive BYOD policy is needed, to have some basic guidelines and rules in place for the teachers and administration to follow, that this is something that's needed. The surprising thing was that the principal has more impact on teacher perceptions of technology use than the BYOD policy itself. The fact that what the principal wants or their relationship with technology is going to overshadow the actual policy. Teacher discretion of BYOD use in the classroom was probably the most noted within all the responses, that teachers tended to be okay and wanted the use of BYOD in the classroom as long as they could control it. So this was something important. They also noted that active supervision of this technology is needed, that BYOD can increase efficiency in the classroom if it's used correctly and it's maintained, and the fact that BYOD offers additional resources to the classroom that aren't normally there, and which can also add to efficiency. Now, within my study, there were several major limitations. The first thing, of course, is the sample size. With only 9 participants, it really hurts the validity and reliability of the data. There needs to be a much larger sample. The second thing was not all the schools in the district participated. Only having 2 of the 5 schools within the district, it really gives kind of a skewed view of its effect. So it would have been much better to have participants from all the schools and participants in many of the other educational departments. And then finally, this study can't really be generalized to other districts because it is specific to this district, and school districts have different policies in place, so it's really just effective for our school district. In reflection of this project, of the Capstone project, I see that the need for a comprehensive BYOD policy with clear procedures and guidelines in place is something that's very important, that all schools really need. A school-level technology coach is something that will be an important asset to the schools, especially because of the changes and advances in technology. Continual professional development is going to need to be in place to keep teachers on pace and up with current trends and use of technology. And this is where your school-level technology coach could really come into play and really help the school out. I found in reflection that, teachers are aware of the many benefits of BYOD and also some of the concerns with it, but teachers really want to have discretion over its use within their classroom. And I think this is something that I agree with as a classroom teacher myself, that I want to utilize it, but I want to have control of it within my classroom. So this is something that's important for us to be aware of. I now realize the time and energy that's necessary in conducting a research study and all of the hiccups and things that can happen along the way to make this a difficult process. I do think that it made me grow very much as a teacher and as a candidate in the instructional technology program at Kennesaw State University, and I think it's really going to help me in the future. One of the biggest things that I found from my study is there is much more room for study in this area because BYOD is going to continue to be a major trend in education. Technology is going to continue to advance. So there's going to be pressure for us to have it in the classroom, and this is something that really needs to be addressed. So I thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed it.